What widely accepted Reddit tropes are just not true in your experience? The Aita final judgment can be wrong. Writing skills and spinning a story are the prime factors in determining who is the asshole, sadly. The one that comes to mind for me is the one where a postal worker asked if she was an asshole for changing her schedule so that she and her husband, who was also a postal worker, had the same 2 days off. They already had 1 day off together, but she thought it would be nice to have 2. The thing is that her husband was someone who valued personal time and asked her if he could have 1 day to himself, so he asked her not to change the schedule. It's a complicated issue, but everyone in the thread was insisting to her that he was 100 and completely guaranteed to be cheating. Because according to the masses, that is the only reason a human being could want private time. And she started to buy into and basically said she was going to confront him about his cheating when he got home. Thing is, as someone who needs an intense amount of personal time, partially resulting from pests, I felt so fucking bad for her husband. He just wanted a day to himself. I would kill for a day to myself. I'm not saying it's justified to ask his wife not to change her schedule, but knowing that he was going to come home to a spouse who was convinced he was cheating because he wanted alone time made my stomach drop. And everyone was so convinced they were right. Fuck that post, it'd make my skin crawl. What kills me with Aita is people will use something shitty being done to them as an excuse to be shitty to other people. It's like a never-ending circle of assholishness. That whole sub is pointless. It's always going to be incredibly biased because people who want support will change and remove details, so they are the more likable person, and the posts have such similar wording and formats that it seems that it's just a bunch of karma farmer. If you visit subreddits, you'd be forgiven for thinking the whole country is full of antisocial people who hate their colleagues and are scared of the slightest confrontation. In reality, most of us are pretty normal. I enjoy the difference between some of the UK subs. It is like they are from different planets. I'm a dad that does plenty of stuff with my kids without my wife around. I've never gotten a sideways look or rude comment for being on a playground around kids or saying hi to a child nearby. I'm a dad. Most people just come up to me to talk about how disgustingly cute my son is. I'm right there with you. Although I'll say one thing, I have noticed that I tend to get a lot more accolades from people for going above and beyond than my kid's mom gets for doing the same tasks that would be considered woman's work. For example, I took my daughter to an amusement park and I went to the bathroom to change her diaper. I was complimented 3 times throughout the process by strangers for changing a diaper. It's just a funny double standard I observe. You don't have to divorce your wife if she bought a $200 laptop without consulting you first. I once did an Arimatheas-hole question. My wife and I has a disagreement on if a certain word was normal to us. The word was viscous. People kept telling us we should get divorced and that my wife was insecure. I tried to tell them it wasn't a serious fight, more of a teasing each other thing. That didn't change their minds at all. You could easily tell who was most likely never in a meaningful relationship. It was pretty sad how many people feel that way. My father got a little testy with me after a rough day at work and later didn't say, "Pleasey, thank you." Now I love my family dearly and there's never been any other problems. We're very close and loving. What should I do? This is completely unacceptable. You're being gaslit and need to run, not walk away from this situation. It just shows your father doesn't respect you. You should just abandon all contact with your entire family just to be safe. Get away now and get into therapy immediately. I'm so sorry this happened to you. You deserve better. Sounds like something a gaslighter would say. That more upvotes means that comment is more valid than others. I've noticed a lot of the time it's just who commented first. Someone else will say the exact same thing the next day and get a bunch of downvotes. Spend any amount of time on a dating or relationship sub and you'd think the average man and woman are just seething with hatred toward each other. Maybe I just have an exceptional group of friends from both sides, but thankfully that doesn't represent my reality. People who are successful in dating relationships don't hang out in dating relationships subreddit. The other day there was this post on Rob Woodworking where this guy was showing off this beautiful cabin he made with a sawmill. I went to the comments in hopes he would divulge some of the various processes involved. I dream of owning my own sawmill someday to make tables and things, but it never occurred to me I could build a cabin entirely on my own. Absolutely incredible. Anyways, I was interested enough that I went through almost every comment, and towards the bottom, there were people bitching about how close it was to the creek and how the trees surrounding it could fall on the cabin. The dude was very poised in his responses and kept pointing out that it was built on stilts and all things in life require risk. This one was one he was willing to take, considering it was a dream of his. Point being, Redditors tend to be incredibly cynical and risk-averse to a fault. On top of that, there is always an incredible number of comments from people that have no freaking clue what they are talking about, but they say these things with such confidence. The next time you come across a post involving a particular hobby of yours, just head to the comment section and you'll see what I mean. Point being, Redditors tend to be incredibly cynical and risk-averse to a fault. One of my favorite threads was a few years back about what essentials you should always carry in your car. It was this absurd exercise in one-upmanship, as lists and comment chains all kept ending up with people swearing that you just had to carry gallons of water, toolkits, days worth of food, spare shoes, spare clothes, spare shoes, and God knows what else on every trip. Yeah, I'm a pretty avid lurker over there, but holy shit does it get bad in recast iron too. A couple of years ago, I had to unsub from C-subs because the people were just pretentious assholes who spend more time seasoning than actually cooking on the damn thing. Luckily, the sub has come around to joke meme situations, making fun of what I said above, but occasionally you get some dipshit who will bitch about someone using dish soap to clean their pans, old saying from when soap had lie, or someone whining about how superior their $330 12-inch. Whatever brand cast iron is superior to the 12-inch Lodge. The tattoo community is like this. The comments usually say a tattoo is very flawed when to me it looks photo-realistic. Everything gets shit on, except joke tattoo. The risk aversion thing makes me laugh so much. Imagine a world where everyone is as perfect as Reddit commenters pretend to be. It would be an awfully boring dystopia. Just because someone lies to you, it doesn't mean that they are gaslighting you. Gaslighting is different than just lying, and it's used in abusive, controlling situations by manipulative people. Bob from accounting, who denied eating an extra piece of cake, isn't a dangerous man who is gaslighting everyone in the office. He just likes cake. This also extends to misremembering. Towards the end of my long relationship, my ex fell in with a bunch of people who assumed everything was gaslighting. So, if I forgot I had a meeting that would make me run a little late, it's apparently gaslighting. Online communities just pick up words and throw them about without knowing the meaning, and it's legitimately damaging. If Bob tries to convince you that you never had a cake in the first place and you're just crazy, that's gaslighting. That if someone yells at you or loses their temper once, they're a violent person who can never change. Or someone constantly gets pushed into a corner and finally gets angry, so they are showing their true colors, infuriating. If your partner makes a minor fuck-up, Reddit says throw them on the street like weak old trash. That you can never have friends at your job. Everybody is just waiting to stab you in the back for that next promotion or whatever. It portrays everyone, besides you, the main character, as a mindless, selfish corporate drone who only thinks about themselves. I spend most of my time at work. Why wouldn't I want to get along with the people there? When I worked in the service industry, making friends with your co-workers isn't only pleasant but is a major advantage compared to someone who doesn't. Other service managers will be more eager to help you, and the kitchen will be far more flexible when the server is someone they like. Especially with how much of restaurant bar culture is fake smiles and emotional performance, co-workers gravitate towards people they genuinely get along with. Even now, as a professional event photographer, making friends with my clients and other people in the music party industry is mutually beneficial. I'm not expecting us to make friendship bracelets and go skipping in a field of daffodils, but when someone invites me to grab a drink and shoot some pool after an event, I don't mind it. Best of Reddit is not usually the best of Reddit. Everyone's being gaslight. I think you're just imagining that. Nobody ever said that. In real life, when people ask what your job is in conversation, they're usually not doing it to gauge how much respect they should give you, or how rich you are, or anything like that. They're just trying to see what you're interested in, so they have something to talk to you about. Also, they probably don't care. It's just an easy icebreaker question to fill the silence. It's also literally how networking works. I have met several people at parties who I was happy to discover worked in the same or adjacent industry I was, or was close to someone else who did, and that's extremely useful information to have in my pocket should I want to learn how other brands function or jump ship in the future. Also, it's just cool. Then we find out we actually know some of the same people. Those throwing a fit over this simple point of connection says more about their bitter narcissism than anything BSism, than anything be otherwise. I don't understand how seeing people with a career they're passionate about is some secret, deliberate flex against random strangers. Shit just ain't always about you. Not everyone you don't get along with is a narcissist. Sometimes you just don't get along. I also don't hear that term thrown around so casually in real life. Similarly, not every instance of lying or being incorrect is gaslighting. I know several people who will use narcissist for just about anything, and if you try to point out they are misusing the word narcissist, they will just say it proves that you are one. The casualized and non-clinical use of the term narcissism frustrates me so much. The connotation people use it in seems more moral than psychological. It's shorthand for a bad person, which often amounts to someone I don't like. Bonus points if the person is applying the term to someone they've never met, like the friend of a friend of a friend who's been described for all of 30 seconds. You're just being narcissistic right now, and it's killing my vibe. Oh, you have a problem in your relationship. Better break up. Oh, you're a night owl and your wife is an early bird. You're fundamentally incompatible. Break up. I understand Redditors warning other Redditors that they're in an abusive relationship, but a lot of the time problems can be fixed. Not everything is an ad symptom. That empty shop selling actual stuff are all probably money laundering fronts. Edit. Many replies to this are kinda proving my point. In my town, there is a wig and curtain store. All I can guess is that if you're looking for a low-quality wig, curtains will naturally be your next purchase. I've always thought of that as more of a joke, but I guess people will actually believe it. Like there's a shop in my city that only sells bar stools. It's not a furniture store, it's a bar stool store. Legitimately only bar stools. They stayed completely open and functioning through COVID, even when all of the bars and restaurants were closed. My friends and I make jokes about it when we pass it, like there's no way they're selling enough bar stools to stay open and paying their rent mortgage in a major city. But in reality, they probably are, or have multiple revenue streams, or have ongoing contracts with places in the city to keep a steady income up and ride the waves that come with owning a retail business. 99% of the time, these places stay open because they have good owners-managers, not because they're selling drugs at the back. Edit. Just wanted to add, I don't need you trying to work out to me how they're still in business. You're preaching to the choir here. This is a thread about things we all realize aren't true, lol. No, that person did not deserve to be shot, beat up, left homeless, cheated on, etc. 99% of the time. People fuck up. It's part of being human, and not every mistake requires a life-altering punishment. Reddit. The US justice system is broken and needs to be reformed to be less punitive and more rehabilitative. Reddit, when a crime story is posted, feed the culprit his own innards. I was once downvoted to oblivion for saying no, I don't want this guy who said a shitty thing to his girlfriend to be alone for the rest of his life. I want him to learn from this and do better. That Reddit is a place for intellectual discourse, when really it's a place for echo chambers and circle jerking. I used to learn a lot more on Reddit. I still learn new stuff, but you have to wade through many more jokes or posts, shitposts. I constantly remove subs to try and find more quiet and balanced communities, but it takes more effort than it once did. That going to a trade school sets you up to automatically make 6 figures in a couple of years. That Redditors are all virgins living in their parents' basement. I happen to live in my parents' attic. Ruby It for Life would have you believe that unless you shell out good money for every last thing you own, you're bound to regret it once the cheaper option inevitably fails on you within a ridiculously short period of time. Let me tell you all something. There is no need to buy a $50 water bottle instead of a $10 one unless your preferred method of handling is to drag it across asphalt to and from work daily. There is also no need to drop $300. $400 on a pair of REAL leather work boots, unless your work actually requires it. Wanted to get a nice vacuum for my new place, so went on vacuum cleaners, and it was seriously one of the most toxic subs I've ever been on. Everybody just constantly insulting you for even remotely considering a vacuum that isn't a massive industrial canister vacuum that will last 300 years. Suggest a stick vacuum on that sub and you'll be flayed alive. You don't need snap-on tools if the extent of your car work is an oil change every few months. Best rule of thumb I ever learned is this: buy the cheap shit. When something breaks, you know you use it enough to warrant the good stuff. A $9 basic Nalgene bottle will outlast human civilization, no matter how hard you abuse it. I've only ever had to replace once because I lost it. Eat it. An experiment on brittleness, strength distribution might be interesting. I've abused the hell out of mine, and even the plastic strap that holds on the lid has only been ruined by my incessant need to take it on and off, which stretches it out. Maybe some of y'all got different models that aren't actually the same indestructible hard plastic, or some just come out of two factory defective. There aren't nearly that many people who have had threesomes, nor have there been anywhere near the amount of times people came close to one. I almost had one, just needed 2 more people. Taco Bell leading to immediate diarrhea. I haven't had it in years, but used to have it semi-regular. Not once had it led me to gastrointestinal distress. So either Redditors have really delicate constitutions, or Taco Bell blowing mud is just lazy humor for the collective. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there wouldn't be almost 8,000 Taco Bells in America if every time people ate there, they shit their pants. I'm an Englishman with IPS. When I was in California, I went to Taco Bell. If there's anyone it should fuck up, it's a foreigner unused to the local food and water with a dodgy gut. I was fine. I've heard theories that Taco Bell is relatively higher in fiber than other fast food. Checks out, beans have a ton of fiber, and that some people's stomachs feel fucked up because they have a shitty diet the rest of the time and don't eat enough fiber. I don't know if that's what it is, but it makes sense to me. I eat a relatively high fiber diet all the time, and Taco Bell doesn't hit my stomach any different from any other meal. They say the same for Chipotle and any other cheap Mexican food. But the food is just rice, tortillas, meat, beans, cheese, lettuce and tomatoes, and maybe some kind of sauce. Unless you eat zero fiber otherwise, beans and lettuce shouldn't be causing you to shit your britches, and none of the rest of that stuff is known for causing upset stomachs. Unless anyone who's saying that and isn't just leaning on racist tropes about Mexican food being unclean is actually lactose intolerant or has celiac. I've encountered a lot of people who clearly had food intolerances, but would not admit that shitting your brains out regularly or every time you eat certain normal food items is a sign of something being wrong. Edit. You guys saying that it's the spicy food chains that don't serve spicy food are even more bizarre than the people who don't think it's strange to shit themselves every time they eat a flour tortilla. Not everyone rather die than small talk with their coworkers. Believe it or not, most people love their kids and don't regret having them. This site loves the word narcissist so much it no longer means anything. It isn't inevitable or normal for you to be pulling muscles and having pains doing simple shit in your 30s. You're not getting old. You got sedentary. Lol, I was waiting to see this one. It seems like 50 of Redditors somehow have some crazy autoimmune disorder that keeps them from cooking fresh meals, exercising, etc. Yes, I'm 34, and according to the internet, I should be falling apart. I mean, sure, I can't drink like I used to, and I'm real sensitive to sugar suddenly. But other than that, I'm fine. Why does everyone's back hurt already? Edit to send my condolences to the manual laborers and athletes out here falling apart real young. Damn. Alright, I'll say it. A banana doesn't really give me a very accurate sense of scale. Bananas can come in so many shapes and sizes. I think that initially was the point. Banana for scale was a dumb joke since it's such an arbitrary unit of measurement. Only now we are so many layers removed from the origin that people have been treating it seriously for years. That therapy is the answer to all questions and problems. Yes, therapy can help, but most of the times, simple thinking and communicating get you all the way. Furthermore, therapy is not easily available in large parts of the world, even in Western societies like Germany. Also, not all therapy is created equal. It takes time and money to find a therapist that works for you and is taking new patients. Not all therapists are good, and even if you do find a good one, they may not offer or specialize in what you need. Even after all of that, therapy takes a lot of work on your part. You have to want to put in the effort to make changes to get better, and not everyone who needs help is in a good mental state to even start trying to do that or acknowledge they have a problem. You don't just walk in, talk about your problems, cry about it while the therapist gives some enlightening revelation about your childhood, and suddenly leave all better. It's ongoing work even in the best circumstances. That you can't have a reasonable back and forth with people you disagree with. That the answer to everything is worst case scenario. Break up, never speak to them again, cut all ties, slow down there, Seabiscuit. Let's try some solutions first before setting fire to everything. To add to that, if you want people on this site to believe you about something, you should always jump to the most negative option available. You can be completely wrong about something, but if you add a stereotype to it and sprinkle some vitriol on top, you'll have 100 replies and 2 points. If people on Reddit communicated with their partners, they wouldn't ask strangers for advice. Probably because the most extreme stories that do demand extreme action are the ones that make the front page. I'm a short dude and have literally never had problems with dating or finding partners whatsoever. Reddit makes it seem like if you're a short guy, you're somehow unable to be found attractive, especially not by women who would generally be considered beautiful keepers. But that's not been my experience at all. I agree. I'm a 5'5" dude, and it stopped being a problem for me the instant I stopped worrying about it. Eater. The only reason there are any short men on Earth is because of a long line of short dudes before them who all managed to get laid. If your ancestors could, so can you.